Howdy everyone, it's me once again, the one and only Jordan, and today I'm going to be reviewing another anime related thing, because why the hell not? It's what I do, talk about and review stuff. So of course, I'm talking about an anime because honestly I feel like I don't talk about this kind of stuff often enough really, if I'm going to be honest here. But anyway, for today's feature is Sailor Moon Supers, the movie Black Dream Home. So yeah, of course, just like the other two films I reviewed of this series, this is going to be the English dubbed version. So yeah, of course, it's going to be a review on the anime film on the VHS tape, of course. Oh yeah, definitely remember going to Blockbuster and whatnot. Those were the days, wasn't it? Oh yeah. I mean, okay, I eventually bought the trilogy in one pack, so I can watch it anytime I want. Yeah, I know. I'm talking about old tech that's considered dead tech or whatever. And yeah, I do realize that that's not exactly the most popular thing on YouTube, but that's the thing. This is my channel and I really don't care. Nope. If anyone wants to complain about that, I'll do what I want. And the thing is, yeah, this movie and this version I'm talking about is actually on sale, really. Yeah, for about a little bit more than $40. What the actual hell? Seems quite a bit much, don't you think? Alright, whatever. I know a lot of people would be talking about G.I. Joe instead, because during a period of time that was popular, just blowing shit up or whatever. Whereas me, I'm talking about some superhero characters wearing skirts. Yeah. Anyway, whatever. But yeah, again, I'll be reviewing the English dubbed version of this film, because why the hell not? Because that's the one I've watched. I guess that would mean I've officially reviewed all three films, I guess so. If I'm going to be reviewing this film, I might as well talk about it. I can say the animation has gone a hell lot better, I guess you can say. So there's that. And again, just like I said in the previous two videos, if I'm going to review the Japanese versions, I'll do it in separate videos. But this movie has been on my to-do list for quite some time. Yes, okay, technically it's a notebook, but I'm kind of to-do list because I have so much stuff to review. Oh boy, I had that thing for quite a while. It's been to hell, folks. And anyway, it does give me an excuse to talk about something Japanese related, I guess. Because why not? Well, anyway, okay, fucking whatever. Of course, as usual, I have to talk about the plot. So let's get into the story, shall we? Yeah, we're going with this, like, Piper kind of a thing going on here. Yeah, that does play an important role. If you're familiar with the Piper story, yeah, they pretty much added that in here. I guess they're trying to make things interesting, I suppose. And I guess why not, I guess, whatever. But yeah, somewhere in Europe, there's this young man that's playing this song on his flute to hypnotize children, of course, as you can guess, following him into this mysterious ship before sailing off to the sky. But, okay, in Tokyo, we get to see, Serena, Moon, Rini, or she's called Rini in this version anyway, and the other girls, they are pretty much baking cakes out together. Okay, not really cakes, but cookies. Baking cookies together at this apartment complex, of course. But of course, Serena ends up with these cookies that look perfect on the outside. Unfortunately, they taste terrible. Of course, this just tastes awful. But Rini herself, let's just say she produces the exact opposite, the reverse. Her cookies look terrible, but it tastes quite good, of course. So yeah, that's something right there, folks. The whole cooking scene is actually pretty amusing in its own little way. So I guess they try to give a sense of tone throughout the entire movie before it gets into the more serious stuff, I guess you would say. Which is totally fine, I suppose. Did you give the audience a sense of what you're trying to aim for within the first 10 minutes? I mean, okay, that should be obvious, but You'd be surprised how many people would miss that. But okay, whatever. Anyway, but yeah, folks, they're trying to give you an impression of how this is supposed to be immediately. The movie itself isn't very long. It's roughly over an hour, so yeah, it gets to the point pretty quickly, which I'm pretty fine with. Because at times you may just get impatient anyway. But point being is that I can say that this movie is trying to have this grand adventure, this big story. Oh yeah, in all honesty, folks, in my honest, humble opinion, I did think that this movie was an improvement over this one, and yeah, it was definitely more enjoyable. Okay, at the very least, I didn't have to watch this scene again. Okay, anyway, I did think that this one does the storyline better. Like I said, the animation was actually an improvement as well. And yeah, there's an evil queen that the Sailor Scouts must stop. Even though, despite the fact that there was also an evil queen in this movie. So it does feel kind of a repeat because of that. Ah, well. But yeah, overall, the production value in this movie looks like it did increase, like they had a bigger budget or whatever. But yeah, what is up with those teeth? Is she like a vampire or something? What the hell? Weird. Anyway, but, so yeah, folks, this was, I guess you can say, a wild ride. And not just that, a little thing is that this was actually originally going to be a different idea because they actually had another thing in mind. They were in production of this film. So yeah, I guess you can say in other words, it was a scrapped idea. I wonder how it would have gone through if they actually made it. Yeah, it just goes to show you that just because you have a good idea, it doesn't necessarily mean that it's going to be made into a film. But it does leave you what could have been, I guess you can say. So, this is me pondering. Of course, you do have to rewrite the script quite a few times to up to the point where it's have a more satisfying idea of what you want to do. Because that's the movie industry for you folks. You can't just stick with the final draft of the script or whatever. But yeah, of course, making movies is very stressful, even if it's animated. You have to treat this film like any other movie. Rewrite the script a few more times until it's done the way everybody agrees to do it. Of course, you do have to work as a team, obviously. But yeah, that's how it is, folks. When it comes to the movies, you have to construct a story in a way to keep the viewers' interest, so they won't get bored. Just like the previous two installments, the pacing for this film it was like quite nice. Not once it slowed down. At the very least, not enough for me to get bored anyway. But yeah, this film was actually pretty good. Even though I did think the voice acting is actually pretty cringy. The voice acting is nowhere near as terrible as the previous two installments, I guess. But the voice acting does feel rather lackluster. But then again, that kind of thing is expected, I guess, when it comes to anime that has been translated. Well, just because it's to be expected doesn't mean it has to be accepted, I guess. But for what it's worth, I can say that you can spend your time doing worse than this, I guess. At one point in the film, they were actually turned into mini versions of themselves. So, yeah, that happened in the movie. So I guess they're trying to go with the theme of the film, of course, with people being small or whatever. So yeah, that happened. And yes, of course, we get to see that they're trying to do the right thing in the movie and fight for justice and all that shit they might expect from the superhero stuff, I suppose. Yeah, there was that going on. Yeah, and the evil lady Queen does kidnap Sailor Mini Moon. So of course, the rest of the crew basically has to rush to her rescue with the aid of Sailor Mini Moon's friend that she met in the process of the story. So after trying to find Sailor Mini Moon and trying to fight off the henchmen to no avail, of course. But the thing is that the three other characters that do come into play in here, Neptune, Uranus, and Sailor Pluto, come to the aid as well. So yeah, this does become another difficult plan for our characters here, folks. So they definitely have to rescue Sailor Mini Moon before she definitely falls into a permanent dream filled with sleep and whatnot. So yeah, things do become rather hectic throughout the entire film. And yes, of course, there's a bit of action, fantasy, and a bit of comedy thrown into the mix. And that's perfectly fine with me because they're trying to mix it up a little bit to make sure it stays interesting, I guess you can say. And that's what happens here, folks, of course. And yeah, there's a bunch of crazy wild stuff going on. I can't say I did like the character designs. The character designs in here are quite good in here, folks. Like I said, the animation did improve, the art style improved, the coloring, and I'm not sure what kind of program they used for this film, but whatever it was at the time, it did look really nice. It's very fluent and whatnot. You can see every color and every detail, of course. Everything seems nicely shaded. And I did like that. I did like how they're trying to give you a sense of color. Color is very important, folks. I mean, okay, no shit, no brainer. But you'd be surprised how, I mean, even though it's obvious, you'd be surprised how many people miss that. But anyway, yeah, like I said, the coloring in this is actually really nice, folks. I like how it was done in this, of course. I know it's pretty obvious that I should talk about that because it's an animated film after all. But I do like the little details they added throughout the entire film in the background and whatnot. So everything does look really nice throughout the entire film. So that's definitely a plus there, folks. Yeah, of course, you see a variety of color. There was nothing, but it never felt like it was overbearing, the colors, just a random amount of colors that we used throughout the entire film. And that's definitely a positive in my eyes, of course. Definitely say that this movie is something I will highly recommend for people who are not familiar with anime such as this. But the thing is that I would say watch the first Sailor Moon movie first and then the rest of them so you could get a sense of what's going on, of course. Just throwing that out there, folks, of course. But yeah, this is something I would say is highly recommended, obviously. If you're not familiar with the series of movies, maybe watch the first one first, I guess you can say. And the story itself does attempt to be really trying to become more interesting, and the villains trying to come off more like its own thing. But anyway, and of course, Sailor Mini Moon does take an important role in this movie. And I do realize some people out there, yes, I do realize that there's quite a few people out there that do believe Sailor Mini Moon is really annoying. And to some extent, I guess, I can see what you mean, because it can be rather annoying. But that's only if you're going out with the American version of this anime. And she's a lot less annoying in the Japanese version. I guess it's how she's written in both versions, I guess you can say, and the way her dialogue's delivered, I suppose. But yeah, if you're not a fan of this character, then this film may bother you because of that. But yeah, I would say that the even the music as well. The music is really good, folks. I did like the music because they're trying to give you a sense of, I guess, fantasy in a lot of ways. Yeah, we see this character. That's pretty cool in its own little way. Yeah, of course, we're gonna see some character for all these characters that do show up here. They will all have something to do with the story, and I do believe that music can actually benefit the plot, of course. Again, I realize that's pretty obvious, but you realize how many people would actually miss that. Yeah, oh boy. But anyway, moving on from that. Again, I had to go back with the whole character thing. So if anything, this film is really trying to emphasize on the relationship between Sailor Moon and Sailor Moon herself. Yeah, they're trying to develop that relationship a bit more, so that's pretty cool right there, folks. I did like that. Their relationship are pretty much the strong points of this film, at least in this version anyway. So yeah, you're really trying to really emphasize on that. I can definitely say as well. I enjoy this film for what it is, what they were trying to do, of course. And I had no issue with the pacing. It got straight to the point. Of course, I liked it. But the final battle, I'm not gonna spoil anything, of course, because rarely we would, not going to give any spoilers away, of course. But I can definitely say that the final battle for this film is actually pretty cool. I like the final battle sequence that they had for this film, and it's really top notch. It was pretty exciting in a lot of ways. I mean, when it comes to to these superhero type movies, of course you want to look for the final battle sequence, and yeah, these characters are pretty likable to begin with, so obviously you're gonna be rooting for them. But yeah, when it comes to these types of movies, you will want to see the final battle. It's basically one of the things you will, that's be the highlight of these movies, of course, of the superhero stuff. I did like that. That was really cool, of course. I did like how they were trying to make it seem exciting with the music, the way they drew the scenes, the way they had the angles and whatnot. So everything for the final battle sequence came off really good, of course. I did like how they were trying to aim it to make it seem exciting in a lot of ways. Yeah, they definitely did it really proper, of course. And of course, you do have to have some sort of knowledge of the TV show because the TV show came out before. Well, it started off as a TV show, then it branched out to the movies. And when they were making all three movies, they were still making the TV show. So when this came around, so of course they were still making the TV show, obviously. But yeah, the thing is that yes, it's one of those kind of things where you do have to have some knowledge of the TV show. Yeah, it's required because otherwise you're not going to really get a good grasp of what's going on. I mean, okay, to maybe to some extent that's kind of bullshit because you do have to go through quite a bit of the TV show to understand this movie, so it can make more sense. In other words, so yeah, I would say suggest watch the two movies and at least a bit of the TV show, at least enough of the TV show to get a grasp of what's going on in the story, of course. But I just thought I'd let you know because otherwise you're not gonna really get it all the way, I guess you can say. But yeah, that's how it is, folks. But yeah, I can say that this is definitely something I watched quite a while ago, and I really did enjoy it for what they were trying to aim for. I did like this one, of course, and yeah, I can say that. Yeah, it's pretty crazy in some ways. It's gonna make it exciting. Sailor Moon didn't really bother me all that much. This movie, folks. But yeah, I can say that. I mean, yes, of course, not every Sailor Scout will appear here, folks. But yeah, I'm just letting you know out there. I know there's maybe a few Sailor Moon fans that did not see this movie, and if you're one of them, and I'm going to let you know right now that yeah, it's unfortunate. Not every single character, not every single Sailor Scout from the TV series is going to make it into this movie. But yes, is a major disappointment, at least for some of the fans, I guess you can say. So I just thought I'd let you know ahead of time for it. Any of the individuals who have not seen this movie. So yeah, that kind of sucks when you think about it. Oh well. But then again, there is a large number of characters in this. At this point, when they made this particular movie, they already made a truck ton. Oh boy, they already introduced a shit ton of set scouts anyway. So yeah, the team here just keeps getting bigger and bigger and bigger. So of course, it's going to be a lot of characters in the movie. Just thought I'd let you know. But yeah, folks. Again, for what it's worth, I didn't hate it. Of course, I didn't hate what they were trying to do with this movie. And as far as with the dialogue, I'm not gonna really spend too much time on the dialogue because we all know when it comes to the dubbing isn't always the best for what they have here, unfortunately. But yeah, that's definitely a thing here. Overall, folks, this was a treat in its own little way. It has its own merit. Yeah, it's one of the few third-part films of a series that did not get ruined. I mean, what I mean by that, it's usually with a third part curse. Films that tend to get really awful, usually at the third part. I know a lot of people have already made videos discussing this, the third part curse. Whether the third installment of any given franchise, regardless of genre, is usually the really bad one. But thankfully, that's not the case here. Well, I wouldn't exactly. I mean, okay. While I would not exactly call this a masterpiece by any means, because it's far from a masterpiece. But I guess in some ways it depends on your perspective of it, because it's a solid movie. It's definitely a solid film as a whole for what they were aiming for. The story itself is fairly straightforward, I guess you can say, which in itself it doesn't necessarily have to be a bad thing. And having a straightforward story in this movie didn't bother me too much, really. Even though I do think they could have got deeper. I mean, come on, it's a third installment for crying out loud. But then again, the previous two installments of the films weren't exactly deep either. So sometimes keeping it simpler is better. Not that I don't mind a complex story, mind you, but still, at times, simpler is better. In other words. But yeah, folks, I'm about to wrap this up because this has been one long ass video. And I do appreciate anybody just hear me yapping on and on and on about this movie. Of course, it gave me an excuse to talk about anime because I feel like I don't talk about anime that often, really. But yeah, whatever, yes. I would say check. I would say I would suggest check this out. But if you watch the other two films prior and some other TV show, I'll give this an overall rating of a 7.2 out of 10. It's a 7.2 out of 10 for me. As always, thanks for watching and take care.